Hello everybody, it's Rob here from Velo Academy at 99 Bikes, and we're here with little maintenance tips for you to help you enjoy your bike a little bit more and hopefully get you on the road and get you recognizing the little bits and pieces on your bike that are going to make it more pleasurable. So today we're going to do a pretty simple thing. We're going to have a look at safety inspection on your bicycle. This is something that I would do at every ride. They're all pretty important to get familiar with your bike, get up close and personal with it, so that you can recognize when it needs regular maintenance, when it just needs a little bit of air in the tires, and also that you're going to have a good ride, and it's going to be safe to ride, and it's going to be fun for you as well, and you're not going to break down halfway through. So pretty basic tools you need for this job. Really just going to need a multi-tool. Generally most multi-tools are going to have all the standard sizes of Allen keys that you're going to need on it. So that's pretty much all you need. Just grab your trusty multi-tool. It's something that I generally say you should take with you on any ride that you go on, so you can make simple adjustments and maintenance to your bicycle whilst you're riding it. Here I have my trusty multi-tool. You can see it's got all the standard things that you're going to need on it. And we're going to use something that we call the M system of checking your bicycle over. And the reason it's called the M system is because you're actually going to go over your bicycle from here and you're going to describe an M, which takes in all the major components of your bicycle, as well as the wheels, saddle, all of the bits and pieces on there. You're going to check over, make sure that they're running smoothly, that they're safe to ride, and there's nothing, no maintenance issues or wear and tear that's lurking under the surface, ready to do you a disservice whilst you're riding it. So when we use this, we're not actually going to be tightening nuts and bolts. What we're going to be doing is just checking that they are tight. So we're not going to be sticking the Allen key in every single nut and bolt and wrenching it even tighter. If they were done up properly, they shouldn't come loose by themselves, but you are just going to check that there's no bumps or rattles that knock them loose during normal wear. So starting at the rear of the bicycle, we're going to first just have a quick look down here at your rear gears and derailleur system. Give it a little bit of a shake from side to side, not very firmly, and check that it's mounted tightly onto the bicycle, and also check that the cable clamp is done up tight. We're happy that that's fine. Now we're just going to check that the rear wheel is in the frame straight. So for this, just loosen the quick release, make sure that you're happy that it tightens up properly and that the bike is in the frame straight by just checking the clearance on both sides of the rear of the bicycle. Next, we're going to just check that the rear wheel is good to ride on. Going to give it a spin, make sure that wheel spins freely, that there's no grinding or bumping or knocking noises, and that it doesn't move from side to side and rub on the brakes up here at the brake caliper. And we can also just, at the moment, check that the hub has got like free rotation and no side-to-side play. We can just do that by holding onto the tyre up here and attempting to move it side to side perpendicular to the bicycle. If the quick release is done up properly and you notice any play in there, then that's something that you'll need to take it into a bike mechanic to have a look at. One of the key things to check is that your tyre pressures are correct before you go out for a ride. So at a minimum, if you don't have a tyre gauge, make sure you just squeeze the sidewall of the tyre and make sure that it feels relatively firm to the touch. If you do have a pump with a tyre gauge or a tyre pressure gauge, then you can use that now to make sure the tyres are inflated to the correct pressure. Moving up on the M system here, we're going to have a look at the rear brakes. So just inspecting the brake pads and making sure that there should be wear markers on there, making sure they're not worn out. And also just having a quick visual inspection of the brake cable up here, making sure that it's not rusted or corroded and that it's fine. We can quickly just grab our Allen key out again and just check that the fixing bolt is tight. I'm happy that that's fine. Great. Coming up here to the quick release on the saddle, I'm pretty happy. I checked this before to make sure that it was tight. Just going to double check that for you there. And then also just making sure that your seat is tight in the seat post. Pretty simple test. Just make sure you can't move it by hand. You don't want it slipping on you. It could be dangerous if it slips or slides around when you're actually riding on it, because you could lose control of the bicycle. Come down here and we're going to just check around the front derailleur and the cranks. For the cranks, again, they need to rotate freely, and there should be no side-to-side play in them. So pretty happy there that that feels nice and tight in there. That's another major bearing surface. So again, any play in that really needs to be checking over by a bicycle mechanic, and your bike probably isn't safe to ride as well. So you do really need to make sure that that is safe. Just going to check that the front derailleur is mounted tightly to the bicycle. There's a fixing bolt down here. Check that, and also obviously the cable as well. I'm happy that that's fine. I'm also pretty happy that the chain is well lubricated, that it doesn't look rusty, and also it's not too greasy as well. Over lubrication is as much an issue with the bicycle as under lubrication. So you just want a small amount of lubricant to come off on your finger when you touch your chain there. Going to come up the main tube of the frame here, and up here we're going to have a look at our handlebar, stem and headset. So the headset is the bearings here that allow you to steer and basically holds the fork onto the front, and again should be able to rotate freely with no backwards and forwards play in them. That feels good and tight. I'm happy. I'm going to check the handlebars and the operation of the brakes with the bicycle on the floor, and just do an extra check of the headset up here with the bike on the floor to make sure the brakes are operable and they're going to stop me firmly. Same as the rear brakes. Check the brake pads. Make sure your cable clamp is done up properly on your brakes. That's great. And then again, front wheel, inspect the tire, make sure that it's running smoothly, that it's not rubbing on the brakes at the wheel, that the front hub is tight and rotates freely, and that your front quick release is done up tight. That's great, lovely. Well, I'm pretty happy that's nearly ready to ride. I am just going to do one last check with the bicycle on the floor. Just going to check the brakes here and make sure that they are operable under normal riding conditions. So just grabbing the front brake, pushing forward on that front wheel and making sure that the wheel locks up properly, and then doing the same on the rear. Yeah, happy that they're going to stop me in an emergency. That's great. So I'm off for a ride. Why don't you go for one too? We'll see you next time at Velo Academy.